What's up, New York Red Bull fans? Today we had the pleasure of talking to New York Red Bulls left back Matthew Dos Santos. A native of Sandy Hook, Connecticut, Matty joined the pre-academy, worked his way up to the professional ranks, and earned himself a homegrown contract. This year, Matty's been an integral part to New York Red Bulls 2 and their run into the playoffs. This week, they play Chicago Fire 2 and look to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Hope you enjoy the video and more to come. Welcome back, Red Bull fans. Today we got another Red Bull 2 player on an episode of the podcast. Today we are joined by New York Red Bulls 2 left back Matthew Dos Santos. Matthew, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. You're off to a really good start this year. You signed pro, but let's get into some icebreakers, man. I like to start off really easy, so just tell the people where you're from.
I'm from Sandy Hook, Connecticut.
Sandy Hook, Connecticut. So actually, there's only been three homegrown players from Connecticut. You will be the third one once 2027 comes around. Just talk about that feeling being from Connecticut and being a player for Red Bull.
Yeah, obviously it's been a great journey, and being only one of three is kind of crazy. Having those drives, obviously being so far, but being so committed to the club, it's great to be able to be where I am now.
All right, so being from Connecticut, what's your favorite non-soccer sports team?
Mm, I'm gonna go with the Giants.
The Giants. All right.
Yeah,
Well, the record hasn't been there, but hey, we're on the up. I'll say that.
yeah.
Jackson Dart. Jackson
It's
Dart.
looking like we got some potential there.
That's good to hear. I like to hear the more Giant fans around.
Yeah.
Um, Most recent TV show or movie that you've watched?
I've been watching Breaking Bad. That's been pretty good.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never got into Breaking Bad. What season are you on?
I just started,
Oh, you
probably
start?
like episode like 4 or 5, yeah.
What's your impression so far?
It's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it. It's just like one of those where on a day off you could just take your time and watch it. It's nice.
I've always heard good things. It's just about, getting like just starting it. Like if I
Yeah.
ever started, then I know I'd finish it. It was the same thing with me like with Game of Thrones. For like the longest time, I wouldn't watch Game of Thrones for whatever
Mhm.
reason. And then I think they just started the last season. I was like, I'll start watching now. And
Might as
I've
well, right?
obviously like Game of Thrones, one of the best shows of all time.
Yeah.
Um Next, we'll talk about this is a question that I got from the NHL Combine. Teams would ask, or one team would ask players that they were interested in drafted, what's their spirit animal?
Spirit animal. I'm gonna go with a dog.
Okay, any specific type of breed?
Go with a Shih Tzu.
Okay, okay,
Shih Tzu,
yeah.
yeah.
Me personally, I'm a snow leopard. I had like a snow leopard stuffed animal growing up, and that's always close to me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The last two guys I've had were Tanner said he was a jaguar, and Audrey just said he was a house cat. So that was a weird one where he said he was just
Yeah,
a house cat.
that's about right for both of them. That's pretty accurate.
Um, Moving on. If you could only have one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
I'm gonna have to say my mom's homemade feijoada, a Brazilian dish. Really good.
All right, so for the non-Brazilian, well, you got to explain this dish. What's in it and why is it so good?
It's like a pork and beef beans type of stew that you
Okay.
kind of eat with rice. You can sprinkle some little bit of everything on there. Like it's really good.
Okay, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, oh, and then lastly, before we get on to the real interview, just who did you idolize growing up?
I'd say Marcelo for sure.
Mm.
Being a left back and Brazilian, that's just somebody who comes to mind first. So definitely Marcelo.
I mean, that's definitely someone really good to look up to, man.
Yeah.
So now let's get into the real thing. I mean, you talked about being Brazilian American. You grew up in Connecticut. Um, Talk about early life, man. Just what was it like growing up in Connecticut?
Yeah, growing up, obviously being a Brazilian and having Brazilian parents, my dad always was one to play. So being on the field from an early age, watching him and seeing him do his thing made me want to pursue that dream. And then in Connecticut, there's so many ways to get started in that sport with all the cultures over there. So it was pretty easy for me to pick up a ball and start playing. And then it was just a matter of the dedication to get where I am now.
Yeah, and you talked about getting into the game very early in your life. I mean, when I was doing research on you when you signed pro, I mean, you signed or you joined Brookfield Soccer Club at what, 4 years old? Like, just talk
Yeah.
about getting into into the club and playing, I mean, playing the game competitively at such an early age.
Yeah, I mean, with everything that was going on, like I said, growing up on the field, my dad, it was a pretty easy decision for my parents to throw me in at an early age. And playing just came naturally, especially playing for Brookfield, just going through the age groups and having a really strong team. I think like U8, we won like a state championship or something. And having that competitive team at such an early age makes you want more when you're older, and lets you have that letting you have that experience early lets you have a little bit of a taste for when you're older to want to win more.
Yeah, and you talked about your relationship with your dad kind of getting you in the game. Talk about your relationship with your mom as well. I mean, she's always very been, at every game. She travels to every game, every practice. Like just talk about that relationship between you and your mom.
Yeah, I'd say my mom is more of like my mental side, where my dad is more performance and all like the soccer qualities. My mom is the one who keeps me grounded and just really my support system. My dad does as well, but I'd say my mom is the biggest part in that part of my life. Just every single day in the car with her, coming to practice, going to games, having her there is just probably one of the most important things in my life.
Yeah, and so we'll get into Red Bull soccer soon, but talk about that first interaction with like being discovered because you have an interesting story. I remember when I was talking to your mom about how you got discovered by Red Bull. Just talk about that story and how they kind of found you.
Yeah, playing for Brookfield early on, um, we had a connection, and we had posted some videos on Instagram, and I forget who it was, but somebody from Red Bulls had seen it and reached out, and I ended up getting a trial here. And I remember coming in for the first time. My parents didn't tell me that I was coming to train for Red Bulls. It was just like a let's go, we're going somewhere to play. And then I
Yeah.
show up and it's this crazy place with new people in a new state. It's crazy to think about now, seeing where I got to now.
And obviously, finding those Instagram videos, that trial led to something where you're signing with Red Bull at such a young age. I mean, you know, you joined Red Bull RDS at 11 years old. You
Yeah.
11, one of the first teams in the age group for the academy. Talk about, making that decision, leaving Brookfield after so many years and leaving your friends to join, a new venture.
Yeah, obviously back then I didn't think about it much. It was just playing on a better team, better experiences. But obviously for my parents, it was a bigger decision having to come down the Jersey every day and making that commitment for an 11-year-old kid that you don't know you could the next year could have got cut. So it was really a decision for my parents, and obviously it paid off. We got to where we are, but yeah, leaving Brookfield, I don't remember much about it, but it was hard being with guys I've known since I was 4 or 5 years old. It's different moving from a team local, driving 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes to practice, and then joining the Red Bulls, having to drive 2 hours every day. So
And you talk about that car ride, 2 hours each way. I remember, talking to your mom, and I assumed you were from Jersey when I was talking to her. And I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, so where in Jersey are you from?" And she's like, "No, we're from Connecticut." I was like, "Wow,
Yeah,
that is a very that's a big commitment for parents." I know for me, I mean, I grew up playing football and baseball, and we drive 20 minutes down the road just for football practice, and
yeah,
that was a big commitment for me just to see that. Your parents are driving 2 hours with you, each way, for most of the weekend for games. Just talk about those car rides, what those meant to you, and kind of how you were able to, you know, those rides make a better bond with you and your parents.
yeah. I got to start with how grateful I am to have my parents to be able to do that for me at such an early age. At age 11, like I said, you don't know what's going to happen the next year. So to put in that time was really special for me,
Yeah.
and obviously paid off. But yeah, those car rides every day when I was a younger age, when I was younger, like pre-academy, academy, early academy, it wasn't easy to get through those ranks. So having those conversations with my parents, talking about training, just talking about anything, because in that time, it's just time to kill. They're driving. I'm back then I was in the back seat. Now I'm in the passenger seat, but it's just talking about everything. It's such a special connection that I get to have with my mom and my dad as well, because there's times where he takes me and the conversation's always great, talking about soccer, talking about school, talking about the practice that I just had. It's everything. And back then, the days that I didn't have good trainings, didn't have good games, it's talking about it and learning from those experiences. And some people don't get to do that and don't get to have that relationship with their parents, but I'm so grateful that I did.
Yeah, and now we're into fully dive into Red Bull Academy. I mean, you went from, the RDS team through the U17 ranks. There's only a handful of guys to do that. I know Eric Ruiz was one of the first guys to play, professional through the whole academy ranks.
Yeah.
You signed pro. You're one of the first guys to do that. Just going from the RDS team to the U17 team, what kind of differences did you see in your game through those all those years?
Yeah, pre-academy, I came in as an attacker. So it's just really developing your game and finding out what's right for you
Yeah.
and having such amazing coaches in the academy. Having Guti when I was 12 years old, who's here with me at the second team. That's amazing. And then going through the ranks, 13s, 14s, 15s, it's at first it's the basics, learning how to play like a Red Bull player, learning how to be a Red Bull team. And then when you get older, it's about the qualities, the individual qualities and the technical ability. And it's really, I got to give credit to the coaches in the academy. They're the ones who developed me the way to be the player that I am today and to be able to play at such a high level this early on.
Yeah, and we get to 2023, I would say the peak of your academy career is that U15 season where you guys went on and won MLS Next playoffs. Just we'll
Hmm.
start at GA Cup because obviously you guys were a stacked team. Like there's so many players on a team that are homegrowns now. You get
Yeah.
to the GA Cup, you're you're one of the favorites to win the tournament, and you get a red card in the quarterfinals or whatever it was, and you guys
Hmm.
go down. Talk about that disappointment from that tournament and kind of how it led you on your way to MLS Next playoffs.
Yeah. Having such a strong start to that tournament. I remember beating Montreal. I forget what the score was, but we beat them pretty bad. And then having that momentum going into the tournament and having that team, the whole team just because it was we were good on the field, but then our connection off the field was amazing because obviously playing with those guys for so long, guys like Audrey and Stokes, guys I've known since I was 11 years old. So it was interesting when we got to the quarters and it was hard dealing with the loss. But then after that, we knew we were bound to win something that year, knowing the connection that we had, the team that we had, and the players and the quality that we had.
Yeah, so all right, you take that disappointment and you turn it into a positive. I've talked to a lot of guys that they said that they kind of needed that loss to propel them into that MLS next playoffs,
I
right?
could agree with that. Yeah.
And so you get there, you get to the final, you go down 1-0 late in the game. Um, I asked Tanner about it, and he said when you guys went down 1-0, like you guys still thought you were winning, even though it was so late in the game. Talk about from your perspective what that going down 1-0, like what went through your mind about going down 1-0 again.
Yeah, I remember I'd started that game and played, I think, around 60 minutes and then getting subbed off because of the heat in Texas.
Yeah.
But I remember us going down and nobody batting an eye because we knew, even the guys on the bench, we knew the team that we had, the quality that we had. We knew we were gonna at least tie the game.
Mhm.
We didn't know if we were gonna win, but at least tie the game and go to extra time or penalties. We knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah, and obviously Julian scores right after they score. They like not even like a couple minutes later
Immediately.
he scores,
Yeah.
right? And then in stoppage time, Tanner Rossborough with one of the goals of the the decade so far. Like volley, bar down. I mean, he says that he's never taken a shot like that in his life, and that's probably one of the goals he'll for forever remember. And you
Oh
know,
yeah.
you're on the bench, talk about what you saw and the celebration after.
Yeah, the emotion was crazy. I can't even describe going back. Thinking about that moment, you can't recreate that feeling because it's crazy. Even watching it back, I don't even remember. I think we were already running. As soon as we saw Tanner going towards the ball, we were already running towards the corner because you just know it's that feeling. And then when we see that ball go into the back of the net, it's unreal. Unreal.
Yeah, and then obviously final whistle blows. You guys are champions. When you look back at that season, that team, the championship, the memories, the relationships with your teammates, you know, how will you remember that 2015 that U15 Red Bull team?
It's it's always gonna be it's gonna be one of the best memories in my life probably because having that experience at such an early age and being able to win it with guys that the whole team was close. It wasn't a thing of, oh, there was groups of people in one who talked to each other. There was a group of people that didn't talk to the whole group was it was a family, genuinely a family. And when that season ends, you know, it's like the cherry on top, winning that trophy with those guys, and just at 15 being able to have that experience of winning a trophy, especially for a club that you've played for your whole life, it just makes you want more.
Yeah. And then so now we move on. You cap off the 2023 season with a
Mm.
championship. Next season you move up age group. Talk about the difference between, that age group, U15 and U17. That's where you started off the 2024 season. Just talk about what you saw differently from the speed of the game or whatever.
Yeah, going from U15 to 17, it was hard because playing back then, you don't see it now, but going from 15 kids who are your age and normally your height, you go to playing with guys who are older, bigger, stronger, faster, everything. So it's having that adjustment of playing quicker, even going to the gym more often here at the
Hmm.
facility, having the trainers work with you a little more. I remember preseason game we played a friendly and I was exhausted after 60 minutes after the game. I went up to the trainer. I was like, "We got to do something to get the fitness up." Like
Yeah.
it's different. It's a whole new ball game of playing with the new physicality, new players, bigger age group. But I think that jump prepared me for the jump from 17 to second team.
Yeah, and you talk about that jump, 10 days after your 16th birthday, you're making your second team debut, your pro debut.
Mhm.
talk about when you got the call that you were gonna be, you know, in the squad for Red Bull 2, and then stepping on the pitch for the first time. Just, overall emotions, knowing that, all the time that's paid off. You got to you're a pro player now.
Yeah, I'd say going into second team training was like weird because you see guys like use Stevie Serwada as an example.
Mm,
You seen him at the first. You seen him get a sniff at the first team. You go into training the next day. You got called into second team training, and now you're training with the guy. It's
mm.
crazy. And then being called in for a game is nerve wracking. Going into New England, it was an away trip, and I remember talking to the guys and telling them like, "Yeah, I'm nervous," and the older guys telling me like, "You just got to enjoy the moment. If you come in, you just enjoy. Don't worry about the pressure or anything." It's one of those moments where your debut is really just for you to have that experience. And for me, it was amazing being able to step on the field knowing that my coaches trust me, Ibra and Guti, being able to go out there and just enjoy my time on the field, to have that first sniff of professional football was surreal.
You brought up Ibra and Guti. Just, you got a handful more games that season. You were training a lot with the second team. Talk about the relationship between you and the coaches, and how, Ibra, a former defender himself, kind of helped you improve your game as well.
Yeah, training with coaches like Ibra and Guti. Guti, obviously, I had known since U12, so
Hmm.
it was great having him there when I was first coming in. He helped me get comfortable around here, having him as like a support system as well. And the communication's always been great with every coach and Ibra especially. Really, really important to my career, Ibra, because him trusting me, bringing me on early in games, and letting me have again that sniff of professional football at the age of 16 was really important for me.
So you take all this momentum from your 2023 season with the U15s. 2024, you get your first taste with the second team. And then last winter, you finally get that professional contract. You know, talk about who gave you the news that, this was all coming together, that you're signing pro, and what were the overall feelings that, you're the first guy to go from the RDS team all the way through the academy and sign a professional contract.
Yeah, I remember getting called into the first team preseason. And obviously when you're an unsigned player and you go in there, you're nervous. Like it's just going in there and doing the best you can to keep up with the standard of the players there. And a lot of guys helped me with that transition, Stokes being one of them, because he was one of the players that got the that taste early on, maybe like 15 he went into the preseason. So when I went in, he was already a more experienced guy there. So he really helped me there. And then coming back from that, I remember my mom talking to me as soon as we got back home from the flight back from Florida, and her telling me like, yeah, it's like happening. Like it's your dream is coming true, and it was crazy. Like I don't have words to express the feeling of finally being able to live out my dream and it just being the start, you know?
Yeah. And you obviously went ahead to where I was gonna go with that Florida trip, that preseason
Yeah.
trip with the first team. I mean, you're just an academy player at that point. Getting the call to go on that trip due to, certain guys being injured or not fit, ready to go. So you go down there with the first team, but you're joined by other homegrowns like Julian Hall, Audrey Mametti, Tanner Rossborough, Aiden Jarvis, Aiden Stokes, Toby as well. Just
Mhm.
all those guys that are around the same age group. I mean, Aiden obviously being the oldest as a
Yeah.
2006, but everybody else is a 2008 and a 2009. Talk about the connection there, because obviously most of you guys played on that U15 team. but now you're all in that professional setting. Just how did they help you make that transition and kind of settle into that first team setting?
Yeah, being an academy kid without a contract and going in there and having to perform at that level without even knowing the level before going there
Yeah.
was hard. But again, having guys like Stokes, Tanner, even Toby. It was me and Toby's first time we were roommates, and we were just like talking about like this is crazy that we're going in here and we're having the opportunity to play with these guys. It was great. Obviously, Julian, Aiden Jarvis being older, he helped me as well. Yeah, that trip was great because we were also able to grow our connection. Being the younger guys there, we were eating dinner together all the time, every day, breakfast, lunch, and then days off we would go out, and it was great having that experience with those guys.
So I remember from that trip that that picture came out of all you guys, together, just out taking a picture. Just when you look back at that trip, what was like one memory that kind of sticks out that you'll be like, wow, I could take that and that really meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I'd say exactly the picture because we went to an escape room on the day off and everybody just talking and everybody freaking out about the escape room, trying to figure it out. That was really fun and being able to do it again with the guys that I've known since I was 11, 12 years old. It's no better people to do it with.
And one guy from that group kind of sticks out to me is Tanner Ross, bro. I mean, he came over from Pittsburgh at age 14, and he talks about that, being homesick, moving away from his family. But he talks about you and your parents being, kind of people that helped him with that transition. What was that relationship like, helping a guy that, you're also from pretty far away, but
Yeah.
you've been with the team, but helping him kind of settle in and find his own game.
Yeah, obviously me and Tanner's situation is different. Him being away from his parents and mine being we're close enough that we're able to drive and I'm able to see them every day, but we consider Tanner family. The door's always open for him. He's been to Connecticut a couple times and it's like a brotherhood over here because having that connection with somebody who doesn't have family over here, doesn't have necessarily on the off days somewhere to spend.
Mm.
So being able to get him out there and just relax and take time off away from soccer is important for me because I get to grow a connection with him that helps us on the field, off the field, and obviously for him to get away from the game sometimes is really important.
So now we're fully in that this 2025 season this year. You get off to a hot start. This is your first full season as a second team player, and you get off to a hot start. You're scoring goals. You're providing assists. You're playing really well. What, just what specifically went into that hot start, and what kind of was clicking for you through those first, 10, 15 games of the year?
I'd say the momentum of the preseason with the first team because that experience showed me the level that I have to be at to play professional soccer. So then coming back down for second team preseason, it forced me to being one of the younger guys, but also going into the first team preseason, being able to take a little bit of that leadership role with the younger guys
Mm.
and Ibra giving me that leadership a little bit of starting. And then when academy players come up, I can help them out a little bit. And then obviously the performances and the goals and the assists that'll come when the trainings are good, the team is good. When the whole team is good, the individuals stand out, you know?
And you've been a set piece specialist this year. I mean, two of your goals have been off of direct free kicks. I mean, does that come from you watching Marcelo growing up? I saw a bit in there. Those first two goals from the right outside of the box, curling into
Yeah.
the right side of the net. I mean, there's some Marcelo there, man.
Yeah, I mean, watching those guys and then just taking pride in the set pieces is really important. Playing for a team like Red Bulls, set pieces are always going to be something that's important because it's a momentum shifter.
Hmm.
At any moment, you can get a set piece and it could change the game. So being able to provide that for my team is a really special quality that I have, and I'm glad I'm able to help the team with it.
And your early start to the season kind of propelled you into the international space where you get your first real call up to the US U17s.
Yep.
Um, you had been to, some ID camps here and there, but this was your first real, U17 national team camp. Just talk about that feeling, getting the call that you're going to be representing the Stars and Stripes, and overall the difference between, playing with the second team then going over to a national team camp.
Yeah, I'd say with the national team, I was in really good form going into it. And so when I got the call up, I was excited. And also to be able to have three of my teammates going with me,
Yep.
that was crucial because they helped me with that. Them being called up before mine, it was my first time. So having them there made me obviously a lot more comfortable. And then yeah, being able to represent the country that you're from is something again, something you can't describe. Playing games with them, trainings, is nothing better.
So you got that first taste. Obviously you didn't get called up for the World Cup, but going forward into older groups like U18, U19, going forward, what do you have to do better to get that call and consistently get called going forward?
Yeah, I'd say just doing well with your club. If your team's doing well and you're doing well, you're bound to get the call up. That's my always going to be my main goal is to do the best I can for the team that I'm playing for and the club that I'm playing for. And I've always been a good player on good teams. So, you're eventually you'll get called up if your team's doing well enough and you're doing well enough, and that's my goal and my plan for the future. Just keep it up with my club, and the call ups will come.
You talk about the success with Red Bull 2 this year. I mean, you had so much success that your coach got promoted to the first team. Like you don't see that very often where there's a coaching change in the middle of the season. Usually it's a coaching getting fired. But no, Ibrahim Sagaya did so well with the Red Bull Twos that he's getting promoted full time to the first team. And then in comes Michael Bradley. I mean, talk about your first impressions with Michael.
Yeah, Michael coming in was bittersweet because we lost Eves, but we got Michael, a very experienced player, and then him coming in. I was hurt the first week,
Yeah.
but he welcomed me when I came back. A warm welcome, trainings. He always brings the energy and the good attitude and everything you want in a coach every single day. And it shows in the performances that we've had. He's brought his ideas and it's worked. We're first place in the East and we're going strong in the playoffs.
Some of the guys said that it was a bit of a struggle at first because obviously Michael was bringing different ideas, the different tweaks to the system in those early days. What were the biggest differences between both Ibra and Michael's system?
Yeah, I'd say early on as a fullback, not being with Michael, it's not being so wide and being an option in that back line, being more connected in that back line, and also coming into the middle, being a midfielder sometimes, maybe even a
Hmm.
winger. It's that we talk about that a lot, the fluidity and the connection between everybody on the field. But for me specifically, with my left center back, my eight, and my winger, it's that's really been the focus this season, and it's worked out really well for us.
Yeah, and it's worked out. Looking at left back at Red Bull right now, I mean, it's one of the most promising positions, throughout the table. I mean, you got Marcelo Morales, you got Omar Valencia, all both of them under under 23. Then you have you at 17 years old. Talk about that competition because obviously you've played with both of them.
Mm.
They've played with Red Bull 2 this season at different points in the year. You know, you've had your success as well. What have you kind of learned from them and also that competition and training to fight for your starting job?
Yeah, when they drop down, obviously it moves me to the bench, but that means I get to watch more experienced players, older players do the same job as me against the same teams, but I get to see what they do better, what they
Hmm.
do worse, what I can improve on their game. So it's even when I get moved down to the bench, it's a great experience to be able to watch those guys and learn from them, especially since they're playing good minutes with the first team. It's really important for my career to be able to watch those guys now, you know?
Yeah. And then, you know, you talked about that strong finish for you guys, you know, 9 wins in the last 15 games overall. What went right down the stretch could kind of prepare you guys for the playoffs and go into the playoffs on the right foot?
I'd say the the connection between everybody, learning how to play with the people around you was a really big thing, especially when Michael came in. Is that connection between either the right back, the 8 and the winger, or the left back, the 8 and the winger. It's really, I'd say, what's created the most chances for us is that wide triangle. But I again, we it's gotten better.
Mhm.
It's not at the best it's been, but I'd say what's gotten a lot better is the back line, the connection between the back line. It's gotten it's gotten better. We still
Mhm.
got work to do, especially in the playoffs, but it's been a lot better.
So we get to the playoffs, you know, first round of the playoffs at home at MSU Soccer Park. You take on the Carolina Core where you've had success, you know, through the regular season. Um, Talk about that game because I mean, you guys dominated from the opening kickoff. You know, you get that early penalty, Rafa scores, and you guys
Mhm.
go on to win 5-1. Um, Talk about the atmosphere of the game because more people in the stands under the bright lights. Just talk about the overall experience of a playoff game at MSU.
Yeah, choosing Carolina, a really strong team, knowing that we were gonna have a hard game, and us going in there and being able to do what we did, getting the momentum early with the
Mhm.
penalty, and then pushing for more, not just sitting back and being okay with being 1-0 up, 2-0 up. And with that being playoff football comes the environment, the fans. It was a really great environment compared to the regular season. Being in a playoff game against a good team, us bringing our standards up, being able to play our football under those lights, and in an important game that is win or go home, we were able to get the job done.
So now, obviously, we go on to the next round. Opponent hasn't been announced yet. You might know who it is. You don't have to reveal it, but you're going to be playing Huntsville FC or Chicago Fire 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, you lost to Chicago Fire 2 9-2 on the road. This game would be a home game where you guys beat them. Talk about any like slight differences you see between the two teams.
Yeah, both teams I'd say are really strong, and any team coming off a playoff win is going to have some type of momentum. So, whoever we do choose, we're ready for them. And it's two teams that have pieces that can hurt us,
Mhm.
but we know that if we deal with them on a good night, on any night, we can beat any team.
So, you know, you're only three, wins away from another championship in your career. I mean,
Yep.
obviously it's going to be a grind to get there, but talking about, you know, you playing at the top of your game, what do you guys have to do to not only get to the final, but to win it?
Yeah. I mean, being only 3 games away, but knowing that we have such a, lo- a long and hard route to get there, is a special feeling because it's that competitiveness and the environment that you hope for as a young player
Mhm.
in a professional environment. So it's just everybody doing the best they can in training and learning from each other, and then in the games learning from each other, learning from our mistakes, what we can do better each game because as we know, through each game the stakes get higher.
And then just overall, before we kind of end and get to one last point, overall message for the fans heading into, I believe you guys are playing on Sunday. That's probably the date of the game. Overall message for them coming back to MSU Soccer Park.
I'd tell them to be excited because with the way we're playing, it's I'd say it's an excited feeling to watch us play and the football that we're playing. We want to do the best we can to bring that trophy home.
Yeah, and then to end it off, I want to start something new. Just if you can, if you have a random fact about yourself, just
Mm,
tell the listeners what's a random fact about yourself.
I will go with I can speak 3 languages. I can speak
Okay.
English, Portuguese, and a little bit of Spanish. So I consider it 3 languages.
Well, that I mean, though that would definitely help you communicate with your partners on the back line. So
Yeah,
that'll
yeah.
help out there. But thank you very much, Matty. This is where we're gonna end
Thank
it.
you.
I appreciate you sitting down with me. You know, you and your parents have helped a lot with certain, you know, writings, especially when you signed, you helped me with those quotes. So I appreciate that, man.
Of
And
course.
hopefully you guys go on and lift the trophy at the end of the year, man.
Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you very
All right.
much, and hope you guys come back for another video in the future.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.